Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you, Janet?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hi, Wendy. There we go. We're back. Hi, Mandy.
Hi.
How was everyone's weekends?
Quick.
Good.
Not too fast, huh? How about yours, Brandy?
It was good. I went to Amarillo and I met my dad down there and we went and saw the Palo Duro Canyon, and then we went south to Caprock Canyon where all the bison are allowed to roam free. So it was a nice trip to get out and the weather was great. And Dad and I had dinner and just hung out. So it was good. It was good.
So what did you think of Paladar and Caprock?
I thought Caprock was the more beautiful canyon, actually. It's cheaper, it's more remote, it's a little bit further. I thought lots of good hiking on all of them. Like you could literally hike for days on both of them. They're not as big as I anticipated, so it's not like you're gonna get a bunch of different kind of views or anything like that. You're just gonna hike up and see the canyon again from a different angle. And it was like hiking in Arizona. It was dry.
Yeah.
It had lots of pricklies. We got stuck by cactus. So it reminded me of being in Tucson, hiking in Tucson. Is what it was. Hi, Tad.
Yeah, because you can see for miles and miles.
Yeah. Hi, Susan. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Seeing, making sure Abhishek can get on here. He's probably coming from another call. I think he's at Charles Schwab now. Okay. Give it a couple more minutes and then we'll get going. Oh, we have a visitor. Who's this? This is Fritz. Say hello. He's sleepy.
So big.
Yeah, he's a big guy now. He's gonna be bigger than Peak, I think.
Are all of the kittens about the same size?
No, he's the biggest for sure. Yeah, the other ones, there's two small ones, medium one, and then there's the big guy.
I love how they know when you're on a call and they just walk right in. They don't come by all day, but they walk in front when you're on a call.
And I like it though, because it makes it more human. You get to see.
Oh, I love cats.
Yeah.
So
Right.
does he ever like sit on your hands when you're typing on the keyboard?
Oh, they love the keyboard. I have no idea
why. It's universal.
why cats like the keyboard. I don't know if it's because your hands are on the keyboard and they just want to be in your hands or what, or if it's the flat surface, but man, they like the keyboard. Sometimes I feel like I'm just like shoving them all off while I'm trying to do something. And they're all napping. You can't see them, but I've got one back here, one over here, and one down on the floor. And we're missing Peek. I don't know where he went. They're all getting their ears treated right now, and so they're a little mad at mommy. Mommy's been squirting them in their ears. Okay, Abhishek is joining. So as soon as he joins, we'll get going. Wendy, is Brad joining us today? Do you know?
I thought he was, but I know he's got a call pretty close to this time at the end of this session, so we'll have to see what he decided ultimately.
Gotcha. Okay, so this session is recorded, by the way, so if any of you don't want this to go up on YouTube, let me know. Everybody's like, yeah, in the beginning, and then afterward, they're like, maybe not. Maybe I don't want that up. So all you have to do is let me know if you don't.
We'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. Abhishek, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Are we allowed to see you today?
Let me see. Oh, I think, okay. I just see a black. I mean,
Yeah, so
I
do
turned
we.
my cam. Yeah, that's not me. I have a cover on my camera, but it's
Well,
not.
that would do it.
Yeah, but I've tried both ways. Let me see. Okay.
Yay!
I see myself. Sorry.
Thank you. Oh, that's wonderful. So let me share my screen so we can get going. All right, so everybody, can you see my screen? Somebody?
Yes.
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 All right, so we're just gonna go in order here, and what we're gonna do first is we're gonna have each one of the guests today just introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about how you know me and you know what you're doing with your life today. Maybe like if it's interesting, like where you started and then where you ended up. You can share anything about your families. I know all three of you have families, so anything you want to share that just allows the group to get to know you a little bit. So Abhishek, you are going to be first, my friend. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Okay. Hey guys, my name is Abhishek Malik. I come from India. I've been here for about 8 years now. I was introduced to Brandy by my wife, Yusra. They're very good friends. And before that, I had no idea about, Strengths Finder. And I just knew that I may have something called empathy, but I didn't even know if that's like an official skill or something. So Brandy really, there were some things that I thought are actually my weaknesses. And, by consulting with Brandy, I realized that those are actually my strengths and I should be actually using them to advance my career and not sort of, feel that these are my weaknesses and I shouldn't expose these skills as much. So I started out as a developer. In fact, Brandy recommended to my previous boss, and that's how I sort of ventured from being a nerd or a geek who's just coding to become a customer facing person. And I was a sales consultant at Sabre for a year, and then I became a product manager, and now I am a product manager at Charles Schwab for API strategy. So in the last 3-4 years, after meeting Brandy and learning so much about Strengths Finder and my own strengths, I feel like it has really transformed my career and also my personal life to a certain extent. So that's about me. I just tried to also tell you guys about a little bit about the strength situation here, because I guess that's our focus on this call.
Exactly. And so for you, what do you feel like was the biggest transformation? What was sort of the biggest aha moment that you've been able to take action on and shift around to get a different result?
I always knew that I had empathy, but I never really knew about connectedness. So, when empathy used to like drain me out, and at some point I felt like, this is a curse. It's not a strength, because I'm being drained out all the time due to the skill of mine. And then I realized that I also have connectedness, and it sort of, made me balance everything. And even when I thought that I am sometimes spending extra time or extra focus or my brain over tasks that involve a lot of empathy, I realized that it's my connectedness that's making me do that, because I just believe everything's happening for a reason. So even when I spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes of my time with a person that I feel like he is or she is benefiting from me and not so much of a transaction, I realize that when I bring connectedness into that picture, it makes a lot of sense that I'm still playing by my strength and still contributing to a bigger purpose that may or may not be measurable right now. But that just helped me. That just helped me with that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know if I actually made any sense, but in my head I did.
Yeah, because I think what you're saying is that you're tying, you're able to tie everything to a bigger picture, which allows you to step away from what's happening in the moment so much and being so focused granularly on, what's happening right now. And being able to go, okay, well, maybe this isn't going well right now, but it's tying into a bigger picture that.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Abhishek, for sharing. Let's do Mandy next. Can you introduce yourself to the group, Mandy?
Yes. Hi, I'm Mandy. I met Brandy in college when I was studying for my first degree, which was textile design. We met in French class and we've been friends ever since. After I graduated, I went back to school for nursing, which I ended up taking the strengthsology test when I was in nursing school, and it really shows that I am in the right field, I guess, because I get to use my empathy and responsibility every day. So I currently work at an outpatient orthopedic hospital. I work in the recovery room as a nurse, and it's in Omaha, Nebraska. So that's about it. I guess Brandy and we talk about like strengths and everything pretty regularly. So I feel like I'm pretty connected and kind of know myself, at least by my top 5. So
yeah. And we just got your top 10, and I was shocked that adaptability wasn't in here. I've always thought you had adaptability in my mind as a top 5 strength, and it's usually close to empathy as well. And then I look in here, I'm like, oh, I don't see it anywhere in your top 10. But Mandy and I used to be roommates as well, and she's the easiest person to live with ever. I'm more difficult, I would say, just a little more structured, and kind of have my ways, where she's just easygoing, laid back, easy to get along with. Just a very kind soul. So I'm sure all of you are glad to hear that she is a nurse, so that if if any of you had ailments and ended up in her it's not a hospital, it's not, what do you call it?
it's an outpatient. We do have some beds for patients that usually can stay overnight, but it's usually just one night. So
so if you guys ever ended up in her hands, you would be in really good hands. She's extremely good at her job, and she's also a really, really compassionate person. Okay, Wendy, your turn. You want to look at all that purple. Introduce yourself to the crew.
Hi, everyone. My name's Wendy Eachus. I was introduced to Brandy over the summer by Brad Stevens, who's on the call here today, with Level C, and Brandy does a lot of work with Level C and with our core team, and so I've really enjoyed working with her. And aside from that, I have had a marketing company with my husband for really over 15 years. I mean, since our college days, and So it kind of started out as, for many years, something we did on the side, and then it grew a little bit more into more than that. And now here we are doing that full time together. And also with Level C, with Brad, I serve as his executive assistant. So you'll see me involved in some different roles here, but yeah, there's a lot of executing obviously that I'm doing, a lot of action that I'm taking and these different roles that I have. I'm a mom of young kids. I'm 10 and under, and I live in the Dallas area here in McKinney. And so that's a snapshot of me and my background. Yeah, I was certainly surprised a little bit to see how much, well, not by what my strengths were when that showed me that, but how they all fall in that purple category. And I'd love to know, hear a little bit more actually, because I forget now, Brandy, what you said about how those all, how and why they all fall in the purple, but not surprised by my combination of that top 5. I certainly know that communication being number 6, that didn't surprise me. I figured that would be right there, if not higher. And so that's a lot of the work that I've done over the years is in communication, and my degree was in mass comm and journalism. So yeah, I really enjoyed this process. I mean, I know as many of you probably have maybe taken assessments similar to this. There's other ones that I've taken, but nothing is like the experience that I had, at least with Brandy and that first session, of her assessment and her being able to so on point just explain how this relates to your work life. But not only that, it really just ties into all parts of your life. And so that part and experiencing that with Brandy on an ongoing basis has been amazing. So I am always happy to send people her way, prospects, clients, leads. I still need to get my husband to do a session. I can't wait to have him do that. So
Yeah,
I've really enjoyed it.
I think he's a little different than you, don't we?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of need each other, right? That's how it goes sometimes with those partnerships and business.
Yeah.
You kind of need both. So I already know what his mix, I already know it's going to be different. Maybe it probably might be a little more balanced. Mine's obviously not so balanced.
Yeah, you have a very operational set of strengths. So let's go look at all 3 of your individual leadership styles here. So if we're just looking at the top 5 strengths, you guys can see that Abhishek and Mandy are very similar in how they approach things, and also just how they process things. They're very relationship oriented. They've got a little bit of strategic thinking, a little bit of executing, where Wendy has that empathy, relationship building, but she also has just a high amount of execution that she enjoys doing, and she learns through that execution. And it's kind of like, let's just do something, and then we'll see what happens from there. Where Mandy, for example, might think about it a lot longer, and also think about how those relationships are impacted before she executes. And then Abhishek will just build the relationships, do a little bit of thinking, and then take action and execute. Is there any thoughts from any one of you on this distribution of strengths? Does it feel right? Does it feel a little off? Do you feel like we need to look at your top 10 or top 7 to get it right?
I feel like you kind of got me pegged with the executing. I'm much of a I plan, think before I'm ready to do anything.
And what we can see when we look at your profile, Mandy, is we can go, okay, you feel responsible for making sure people feel okay. You feel responsible for making sure that the information is right. You feel responsible for making sure that everyone feels included and no one is left out, as well as feeling responsible to make sure that everyone understands the full context before taking that action. And so yours translates into, yes, we're going to take action, but we need to make sure all these other things are intact before we actually, you know, execute upon that, you know, whatever it is that we're discussing, that particular thing. Does that sound about right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you guys, Wendy and Abhishek? Do you feel like these are accurate for you?
I think so.
I do
Yes.
think. I do. I think for me, it's a little bit more of it in a season, a little bit. I do think down the road, I think, you know, we all change and have different seasons in life. But
Let's look at that,
yeah.
because that's a good point, right? Let's look at that. So we're looking at your full strengths here. We know that your season is never going to be orange.
Right.
I mean, it's just so low. It's 17 and below. It's just never going to creep up that totem pole. The 6 may move around, right? Your communication could get into the number 5 slot or creep down to number 7, depending on the season and what you're focused on. But you also have, if we just zoom out, you can see that you have almost every single execution strength from 19 and up. There's just a 30, one down here. And actually this deliberative is kind of half green, half purple. But that means that, you're probably always going to have some sort of purple up here because you have it in 1, 2, and 3. So even if these shifted around, they're still going to be in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, so you're always going to have a large amount of focus on getting things done, executing, and focused on how those things are getting done. Do we have a process? Is it organized? Is it streamlined? Is it efficient? Those are all always going to be, somewhat in your focus because they'll always be in your top 10, even if they shift around.
I have a question for you. Is analytical and strategic, are they similar in many ways? I've got to look up the descriptions of them.
They're quite different, but a lot of people will think that they have one or the other when it's actually the other one that they have. So think of strategic as big picture, and it's that intuition of we just need to be doing this. And it's in their brain, they're going, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? Well, if this and this and this and that, so we need to move this, and this is going to be a problem, so we need to go this. So they're basically paving a path through a maze, the most efficient path, and they're predicting the future, and they're saying, hey, everybody, let's just go this way, follow me, because I've already thought through all the different scenarios of how this is going to go. And this is the best route until something changes, and then they might recalibrate that route. Where analytical is very detailed. It's asking who, what, where, when, why, how, who, what, where, when, why, how, who, what, where, when, why, how. And it's needing every single detail to understand the entire landscape. And then it takes all of those details and it matches them all up to see if what we're talking about actually makes sense. And I just found out my nephew has analytical at number 1. And when he was a little kid, he used to say, actually, with the little hand gesture, actually. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say that I have strategic as my number 7, but analytical is like all the way down at 27 because I don't even consider myself an analytical person. But big picture, I can play out a bunch of scenarios in my head, and without going too much into my Excel sheet, I can actually have a good plan A, B, C.
Yeah.
As part of strategy, but analytical, I think, yes, you can see it's 27.
Yeah, and what we can see when I look at yours, my immediate thought goes to your strength zones, because when we look at your top 10 strength zones, we go, yeah, evaluation, detail-oriented stuff, that's not really, it's just not really where you care to sit or be. It's like, somebody else will figure out the details, the exact count of the money, or whatever it is. Like, I just want to think about the big picture, get people collaborated, ideate about it, innovate on top of those good ideas. You're strongest in the people management zone, just managing relationships, managing customers, managing people, and then of course getting things done with the achiever responsibility. Would you agree with this? Or do you feel like you can absolutely outsource organization and detail oriented stuff?
These are definitely two of my weaknesses. I am not a very organized person, and I don't like analyzing, way beyond, my means. And I mean, I don't enjoy doing those things. I think, if you put your heart and mind to something, you can do it. But I would avoid these tasks as much as possible.
Yeah, and then you're just gonna delay it. It's like I was reading some legal jargon for my brother last night, and it was like I would get to the second paragraph and my eyes would glaze over, so I'd have to start over. And I go, okay, I'm really gonna do this, and I'd read it, and second paragraph, and my eyes glaze over again. I'm thinking about something else. It's like I cannot read a legal contract to save my life. I'm like, I just need a lawyer to read this. I can't. It's like, so here I am forcing myself to do it, but it's so inefficient because I can't stay focused on it because I don't care about it. And so I'm assuming I'm relating back to what you're saying. I'm assuming that's how you feel about organizing and doing all that detailed quality assurance type stuff.
Yeah. I struggle with those tasks. I mean,
now,
you have to get those done, but yeah.
Did you have to do quality assurance when you were developing?
Never. I would just write the code that basically never fails. But
oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Where's your competition? Okay.
So Brandy, quick question.
Yes, Brad.
So as Wendy mentioned, she and I are working closely together.
Yes.
And I'm more of the strategic that it's like, here we go, follow me. And I turn around and for her analytic, is it fair to think I'm turning around going, does this make sense?
So is that like what she's going to be asking?
That's what I'm going to ask her.
Yeah, and I think because my analyticals there and those details, the details, that makes sense there. And I don't remember where his falls with analytical, but that makes
zones, because your zones are like, all right, let me organize what you're saying to make sure I understand it. Let me put it in a process to make sure that it's actually going to work. And let's schedule it out, right? So you're super organized with your consistency discipline. And then it's like, okay, and now let's plow, let's get it done. So I think one of the most important things, because I relate with Wendy a lot. Wendy, I look a lot like you in my profile. Here, let me just show it for a minute so you guys can see how similar we are. Strength zones. So mine are very similar, especially if we look at top 10. I don't have that nice empathy that you have in the people management, but I have that organization, evaluation, and finishing like you do. So what I think is really important is that you never ask someone like Wendy to do something that is extremely vague, because there'll be so many questions around, okay, well, how do you want it? What do you want the outcome to be? What are the results that you're looking for? Is there any, specifics that I need to consider before I go? Because once she goes, she's going to go. And she certainly doesn't want to disappoint you in the how, because she's going to care. So the strength I'm talking about is this consistency strength. They care about the how a lot. That's really important to know. And so they are going to care. And so if you say, I don't care how it's done, freedom, right? They can do it however they want. But if you do care about how it gets done, or there is some sort of something that you want to make sure that happens, if you can just specify that, that's helpful to her, because she really cares about doing it in a way that makes sense, is strategic, strategically aligned, it's organized, it's efficient, and it's, so how it gets done to her is one of the most important things, rather than like an activator doesn't care how it gets done. They just go and they make a mess of it and they just get it done.
I was pretty surprised at how high that empathy was. I don't know about the other two here on that note with empathy, but yeah, I didn't expect it to be in my top 5 actually. And I think, well, I don't know. It could be a seasonal thing. It could be like, well, maybe it's a time in my life that
it's not. I feel your empathy every time I talk to you. I feel it. I feel your care, your concern, your consideration, the way that you think about other people, and the questions that you ask, and it's unbelievable. I have empathy real low. This is why I can recognize it, because I don't think about any of those things, Wendy. Like, I have to practice them, and I have to like put it in my regime, but it's not natural at all.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, Janet.
Okay, between you and Wendy, okay, do you get frustrated with ever get frustrated with someone, or someone that's, yeah, that, like, say Wendy, sorry, let me just start over. I got nervous. Okay.
I know what you're saying, Janet, because you're saying, if someone has high execution, are they going to get impatient with people around execution, right?
Yeah.
But it's also like asking, if you're a brainiac, if you got a bunch of green, are you going to get frustrated when people aren't thinking like you? Or if you're a blue person, right? You got all this blue, like Abhishek, does he get frustrated when people treat other people poorly with the relationship building? And the answer to that is yes, yes, and yes, because we are built a certain way. We have an expectation that other people are that way. And if they're not doing that, we go, I don't understand why you're doing that. I don't understand why you're not doing this. And so, yeah, everybody can get frustrated with other people when they don't understand that other people aren't like them. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So let's bring it back to you three. What frustrates each of you? And sorry, Mandy, I'm gonna shift this to you because you haven't gotten to say as much yet. So if you look at your strengths and we think about the types of things that especially before you knew about other people's differences and strengths, what would you say would be one of your pet peeves?
Well, I know that you and I have kind of talked about this before, but like dishonesty is something that really is a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
I'm a very honest person, and as a nurse, like, you ask a question of a patient and you don't expect them to lie to you, but they do. So that's one thing that is very frustrating for me, is that people just can't be honest.
Because you need good information to treat them.
Yes.
Well,
I'm an information getter. I like to collect information, and I like to learn and understand. And so, when people are giving you not accurate information, it makes your job pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're feeling 100% responsible for treating them to the best of your abilities. And now you're making decisions based on wrong information, and that's no good.
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Abhishek? Is there something that tends to frustrate you because of your strengths?
Yes, I think the most frustrating thing, and I have experienced it a little bit more lately, is the lack of warmth. Some people, even though they're doing their job fine, but the responses are so cold.
Yeah.
Like, having such high empathy, I think I want maybe like 1% of that being reciprocated.
Sure.
By the other person. And when they are like, when you tell someone, hey, my dog died, and they're like, okay, and you're like, hey, you can say another sentence, and not okay, it's just not fine. So I think, yeah, the lack of warmth is probably something that frustrates me a lot.
Right. Which is, traditionally here getting worse because of the screen time that we all have. People aren't getting trained on how to be human and have that human touch and care about people's feelings, and they don't even know. You can tell a lot, when you're out and about at restaurants and stuff, some of the servers don't even know how to respond to you at all as a human. It's no eye contact and short sentences, and
I guess
mind somewhere
the
else.
world is changing.
Yeah. I mean, it'll change back, right? Because it'll go to that cold to we can't live this way. We've got to get warmer again.
Mr. Malik, I hear you, because I remember during COVID, I had a friend that passed away that I had grown up with. And I remember telling my boss, I'm going to need off. I've got to go to this funeral for like 3 hours, and I'll be back. She never once was like, sorry for your loss. What happened? Nothing. It was just like, okay. So I'm on your side on the empathy part. So
Well, her empathy must be far lower than mine because I would have, felt terrible for you.
I do
I think
feel
Brandy,
like,
sorry, Mandy, go ahead.
you go ahead, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that knowing, like Brandy, you know that empathy is not like your top 5 or top 10. So just knowing this fact, makes you a better, people person, because you know that there could be instances where you naturally don't have the empathy and you would work hard to react in a way that the other person doesn't feel the lack of empathy in you. But when somebody doesn't even know, that becomes difficult. So I think the point I'm trying to make here is that I think everybody should know their top strengths and also the ones that are their bottom strengths, so that they can make up for not like entirely, but a
I would
little
like
bit.
to say, I would like to add on to that because I think this is very important for everyone to hear. Like, because I would love to have more empathy. I would love that to be natural for me. And I rarely think about empathy ahead of time and actually use it proactively. It's more of a crap, I just didn't have empathy. It's more of a realization afterward when I see a reaction and I go, oh man, that was the wrong way to do that. That was the wrong response. Now, so I'm doing a lot of making up for that. Like I'll go back and say, I'm so sorry. I just, I'm so execution focused, I'm just focused on this, but I really do care. What do you need? But I would say that even being aware of that, I'm still not good at it. And I still don't think about it ahead of time or proactively, unless I'm just literally in the mental space of, okay, I'm about to call somebody to say sorry for their loss. Then I actually rehearse before I do it. I did it this weekend. I knew I was going to have to leave a voicemail for somebody and I rehearsed for a good 5 minutes before I did it. And I still did a horrible job. But at least I tried, right? So I just want to put that out there because I appreciate you giving me some props for that, Abhishek, but I don't feel like I do a good job of it. When I compare to you guys, like how natural it is for all of you 3 to think of other people, it's just unbelievable. And I'm grateful for your friendship.
Well, I think you're doing great, Brandy. You do great with that. I want to touch on the other side of that on empathy and what do Mandy or Abhishek, do you think, or anyone, do you think that that it gets in the way of it all, or does it cause any challenge for you? I have to be careful with that.
I feel like with my empathy, sometimes you can read a room just by walking in, you can feel the presence, like the energy in the room. And I feel like sometimes it's really hard to focus when you just feel like something's off in there. You can just kind of feel how people are also feeling, I guess, is a way.
Mm-hmm. And do you guys take that emotion with you out of the room?
I don't feel like I do, but it's really hard to not let it kind of affect your mood as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Mandy. I also feel like, even though it's a top strength and it has probably helped me so much more than, create problems for me. But yes, there are times when you really feel drained out and it becomes hard to dissociate with the feeling that, the emotions that you're reading all around you. It's hard to disengage from that. So you have to really like step out and it's like, I don't want to listen to this for a moment because it's not even important to me, but it's still impacting my mood and my entire day. So yeah, that happens to me as well.
And so in an environment, Mandy, in nursing where you have sick people, cranky people, angry people, disarranged people, they're not thinking straight. How do you cope with that emotionally?
Well, I mean, I guess, so what I do for my job is I basically wake people up from surgery and I treat their pain. And there's some people that, wake up wild and crazy. And I guess with like my empathy and with my responsibility, I'm like trying to manage that. So I guess I have to like realize that I am taking on that feeling, and I have to like take a deep breath and kind of try to disassociate a little bit and just like, okay, let's think about this. Let's, like, what can I do to fix this situation? So everything's, not so anxious and nervous, I guess.
Would you say that that's actually a better environment for your empathy rather than like in an environment where you might take something really personal?
I don't think I take it personal, really. I feel like I don't
What I'm trying to ask is like, let's say you have a problem with a family member.
Mhm.
That impact you more deeply than the stuff at work.
Probably yes, because I can't just walk away from it because,
Mhm.
your family's your life. But I don't know. I just feel like with my setup of like my top five, like, sometimes with having a situation like that, like if I have a nervous patient or something, just like kind of asking questions, being really open to whatever they have to say, kind of understanding the situation, you're kind of able to diffuse that nervousness and that anxiety a little bit easier
Yeah.
than just kind of getting swallowed up with it. So
Yeah, you don't sound judgmental at all. I mean, to have that kind of openness and compassion for all people, it's like it's brilliant, really. Wendy, did you get some interesting responses to the question that you asked?
Yeah, yeah. And my thought, even when I was asking it, and now I do think that empathy strength, and how it plays into your work and personal life, but let's say the work life. I think it does depend on what you do for a living. I do think that my mom is a retired nurse, so I can see some of these these strengths and qualities similar to Mandy's. So anyways, as far as how empathy benefits in my life and or poses a challenge sometimes, I think it's a little different in some of the work that I'll do, because I think that let's say I'm working with a client and they are acting a certain way, good or bad, I will wonder, okay, I'll question, like, is it me? Is it just their circumstances? And sometimes I think on like the medical side of things, like if I was able to say, well, they're acting this way because they are in a lot of pain. So I know, like, I think my brain would go that way. So I think it maybe depends on what we're all
And
doing for work.
what I'm hearing in you is a mix of analytical and empathy, where you're analyzing why someone feels a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also analyzing with empathy and understanding. Like you're looking for why is an analytical word. So why would this person be acting this way or feeling this way? And so you're able to separate yourself from the feelings of the other person. You're more analyzing what's going on with them. And so that could be the difference, because I don't, Mandy has analytical at 12, and then Abhishek's analytical is down below there.
I have noticed, like, kind of in what you're saying, Wendy, like this person's kind of acting weird. Like with my other input and context strengths, like I'm like, okay, with age, I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm just not afraid to ask the questions anymore. Like, what's going on? Kind of investigating a little bit further with what the situation is too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to have an openness in communication with everyone I work with, and family, friends, everybody. So keeping those lines of communication open has really helped with empathy and everything else too. So
So anybody on the call have any thoughts or questions, or any patterns that you're starting to see as we look through their 3 profiles here?
So one thought from my angle is I appreciate all three of their empathy, because people like me who don't have a lot of empathy count on somebody like them to kind of care about everybody else
Yes.
as opposed to the deal. So
Yeah.
whatever that means. Yeah. So my
Yeah.
compliments to all of you for that angle, for that purpose, because somebody's got to do that.
Yeah.
As Brandy and I know, somebody's got to be empathetic.
Yeah, and it's such a relief to people like Brad and I to have somebody on our team or on our side that are thinking about that and doing that and making our other friends or our customers or our patients or our family members, or I'm thinking about even in my class, right? People that do it in my class, my fitness class. I appreciate that so much because they bring a warmth, like Abhishek said, and they bring the human aspect back into the equation. And if they're willing to take that on and do that for us, then it's really wonderful. Good stuff.
I agree.
Yeah. What else? Anybody else have anything that they want to comment on?
Well, there's such a lack of orange. How does that affect everything?
I mean,
Don't
it's
ask me to sell anything.
there you go.
I agree with that. Yeah. And yeah, I agree with that thought, because sales isn't at the forefront of my mind. I have to work at it, but the people I work the closest with are great with that. So Brad and so many business owners, but my husband that's his strength. So I tend to balance that part of the need for that with who I work with.
And Abhishek might feel a little bit more comfortable with sales, because sales is also not just sales and influence, it's building relationships as well. And you can build relationships with people and continue to help them, by offering them more services or more products or different products or services, depending on what their, customized needs are. And it, I don't know, you can speak to it, Abhishek, but I know you're not like a hard salesperson, but it feels like you could help people from a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good line to draw. Like, if it's really hard sales, like you just go out there and try to sell something like, hey, this is the product for X $1,000. I think I won't be the right guy. But again, if you talk big picture, you can definitely create a relationship and a support model where they feel so cared that they just want to buy your product because they know that you're going to stand behind it and provide the best support that you can. So yeah, big picture, I think we would be good with sales, but yeah, the hard sales where the super salesy stuff is needed, I would, sort of rely on Brad more than myself.
Yep. And I'm assuming that the three of you, maybe with the exception of Wendy here, are really never thinking about, how do I get this person to do this thing that I want them to do?
It just feels wrong.
Yeah, that's never really, my brain has never processed anything that way.
What about you, Wendy? Does yours do that at all?
I have to be a business owner. I have to think that way to survive. It's like survival. It's like you have to.
I know this is asking a lot of you, but did you feel that way before you were a business owner?
I do have to work at it, asking people for things. So yeah, asking for money, or if I do our books and asking and sending invoices and following up and that kind of thing is actually, I've talked to Brad about it. He helps me. Okay, this is like this step, like how do I, it's difficult. So I think.
And by the way, my feedback on that is we want to pay you. So it's just nice to have a reminder, so if you can think of it that way, that people want to pay.
I get it. That's same for me. I like that too. But no, I think really I actually was not, as far as how that piece ties into being a business owner and entrepreneurship. I was not,
Got
I
it.
really wasn't an entrepreneur mindset. I think I fell into that, and what my path was with my work over the years, I've become that. So, but the natural part of me, as you can see, is not so, yeah, I guess it's that balance of what you see with a lot of entrepreneurs, and having that strategic that I'll often see up there, and the different things. I don't have that same balance, but I also understand I completely understand how my strengths really still benefit the business I have, the work I'm doing, these relationships I have, and I'm okay with that. So
I want to show you empathy with discipline really quick.
Say, Brandy?
So 415 results, search in top 5. 6 people out of 400 have empathy and discipline in top 5. Yeah, Brad?
So for all 3 of them, how does I'm going to call it, how does confrontation situations fall into their pictures?
Abhishek, how do you deal with confrontation? Like it, don't like it? Is it neither here nor there?
Yeah, I haven't really had a lot of those situations. I don't know if I avoid it or I somehow create an environment where it doesn't happen. I'm not entirely sure.
Well, I think it's your
but
connectedness, because connectedness connects with all walks of life and has very few misunderstandings with people in their lifetime.
Yeah, I haven't had, and I hate misunderstandings, but really on like TV and books, because I have never had any misunderstanding with anyone, unless, somebody just chooses to not talk and just build stories in their heads. That's a whole different story. But as long as there is a line of communication open, however narrow that line is, I have not dealt with, Brandy, you basically connect all these strengths together. So I don't know if it's the connectedness that has helped me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mandy, what about you? How do you feel about conflict?
I feel like as I've gotten older, it's been a little bit easier to approach. I guess to take care of conflict. I'm not afraid to, ask a question, or I guess talk it out. I guess that's how I kind of deal with conflict.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wendy?
yeah, I was really the same. Confrontation and that sort of thing as a young person and as a child, I didn't like that, and I really didn't have a lot of situations that came up that forced me to deal with that. But as we get older and different things, we're faced with that, and I do see why being able to do that and being able to take that on will help in so many areas of work and personal life. And so now I do that, I can do that, but I do have to work at it. So that connectedness, I thought that was interesting where that fell for me at number 8. And I see the others are kind of up there too, like, Mandy's 13 and Abhishek being number 2 with that. So yeah.
So what I find interesting about what you guys are saying is that there's a couple of things that are playing into my own mind here. One, empathy can get matched up with commanders frequently, and commanders are highly emotional beings, but empaths are so empathetic to those high emotions that they don't like the negativity and they don't like the conflict, but they deal with it quite well, actually. And the other thing that I find interesting is that none of you have harmony really high, where like for myself, I have harmony in my top 10 here at number 8. And I hate conflict. I'll just tell you outright, I hate it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't enjoy it. I will, because I have to every day, but it's not something that I like at all. but none of you said that. None of you said that you have a disdain for it. It was more of like, we cope, we deal with it, we manage it. You know, I'm assuming that you don't like the negativity emotions that might come up with it, but you don't seem to be afraid of it.
Yeah, I just
would
try
agree.
to kill, like as soon as possible, I can get the negativity out of the situation, even if it takes me to, probably sound like not right in that moment. If I can just get rid of the negativity,
Yeah.
Maybe make the other person take the credit of the situation or something like that. I would rather do that because, being around negativity, it just impacts me a lot. So I would rather sacrifice on few other things than to deal with that.
Gotcha. Was someone else going to say something?
I just said I was agreeing with what you said.
All right, so let's look at the bottoms here really quick. So there's all your orange, Tad. You could see that significance is very low for all three of you. You guys do not need to be in the spotlight and on stage in front of everybody. You guys are not competitive people by nature. You don't need to be number one. You don't need to be first. You don't need to get the gold medal. Deliberative is low for all of you. Isn't that interesting? The deliberation before, really careful, making sure that things are really, really, really well thought out before making a decision and taking action. That's deliberative. Command is low for all of you, right? You're not commanders. You're not telling people what to do. You're not commanding the room or trying to get people to do what you need them to do.
I think we are more aligned at the bottom than at the top.
Yeah. Yeah. And it looks like you guys are good partners because Abhishek, you have strategic and Mandy needs your strategic here. And then you need somebody's analytical and Miss Wendy has that in her top 10. And then Wendy needs context. And so she can go to Mandy for that. So you guys have a little partnership going on here too. It's like, and input's low for these two, Mandy. So you fill in that gap for these guys as well. I mean, Abhishek, you fill in the ideation over here aspect for Wendy. What else? Oh, and consistency.
Very interesting.
Yeah, consistency is low for you. It's high for Wendy. Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that deliberative that low. I feel like it's, yeah, that's similar to those other tops. Yeah, but I have
and
plenty
sometimes
of
it's just it's how we're getting there, right? Because for example, Mandy will get information and she will get the history where you will analyze, where Abhishek is doing a more big picture with, strategic thinking and ideating, just thinking bigger picture and, literally going and getting ideas around something to do the thinking. So you guys are all have this strong thinking aspect, but the way you come at it, the way you do it is different. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions from the people on the call here today? Nobody right now?
Since they're all in the same patterns, the only thing I was going to ask, because it looks like Wendy's got communication where the others are way down.
Yeah, Abhishek's is at 14 and Mandy's at 29. So
how does that play into their?
Yeah, so let me ask a strategic question here, which is, how big of an effort is it for each of you to communicate verbally? Wendy?
I like to talk. I actually do. Yeah, I can go on and on. I have to make an effort at like stopping and just getting to the point fast. But it's the communication has played for me, just played a primary role in everything that I've done, all my work since high school. So I've been practicing it, I guess.
Mandy?
It's so communication is really difficult for me. This is a really difficult thing for me and really kind of uncomfortable talking in front of people, being on the spot.
Yeah.
I have a hard time. I'm kind of that person, like I can tell you what I want you to know in one sentence and I'm done with it. I can't elaborate. I can't
Fill in the gaps, fill the airy space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to, I don't know, I just get nervous talking in front of people. So it's hard to put my thoughts together well when I'm in front of people.
When you're feeling on the spot and watched. Yeah.
Yes.
Abhishek, how difficult is it for you to communicate?
I think I was telling you this, Brandy, last time that as a child, I tried a lot to be this guy who can go on the stage and, you know, deliver a speech. I tried a few times, and every time I ended up crying and, you know, choking, and you know, I gave up on that. I'm like, this is something it's taking me too much to get better at. So, you know, there are other things in life that I can do better. Why try to be, you know, try to be Barack Obama if you cannot?
Yeah.
So I sort of gave up on that, and I'm still super bad. Like when you will talk to me at the beginning of a call, you know, I would make very little sense because I'm very nervous. But I think as you know, the ice is broken, then I get really good at communication. So for me, initiating and being on the spot is very difficult. But once we are talking, I think I can, you know, keep talking and keep sharing ideas and kind of make sure that you really understand what I'm trying to say. But initiating is difficult.
And I think, like, if let's say you have high empathy, you got to listen to understand somebody. You're not talking, you're listening. And same thing with connecting, right? You're like, I need to connect with you, so I need to figure that out. And by me talking doesn't do that. I got to listen to you, and I got to know how you're wired, and I got to understand how I can connect with you. And then you've got this developer that's like, I need to understand how you want to be developed, how you want to grow. And then I need to understand you so I can understand how to develop you. Positivity is a little different, right? You can proactively bring positivity to any environment. I think positivity actually might even have a little orange, half blue, because we as a population follow people with high positivity, you know, that are very happy, that are bringing a positive environment to us. Individualization is the same as the others. You can't individualize unless you know the individual, you know how they're motivated, you know how they tick, what their habits are. So it's a lot of listening strengths actually that you have in your top 7 versus the desire to just communicate something clearly, precisely, you know, sharing the who, what, why, when, how.
That's absolutely true. And I'm known, I think the reason why I have like at least 1,000 friends is because I think I listen.
Yeah.
And not many people listen, and a lot of people want to talk and they want to just say things. And you know, so yeah, I mean, I definitely am a good listener. At this point, I can say that I am in fact a great listener.
And Wendy, you've got the balance. You know, you've got the listen with the empathy, but then also communicate and be able to do both of those equally well.
Yeah. No, I think the listening, that was on my like New Year's resolution list. I want to make an effort at more listening, and, you know, because now I more than ever see why we need to do that. And then also communication, and whether we like it or don't like it. Like I think my introvert extrovert assessment was like a 70% introvert actually, because naturally that's what I am. That's how I was as a child, introvert. So I just have to pull these extroverted styles out of me. So the introvert, that's me.
Yep. All right. Brad, did that help to get those explanations from everyone?
He had to hop off. Brad,
okay.
hop off first call. Yeah, he said goodbye in the chat.
Are there anything else before we close the call today from anybody? Any burning questions? Next week, we actually have a break from the combinations. We're going to have a presenter. Faith is going to come on and give us a presentation of how strengths work for wellness. So that should be really interesting. So I hope you all can join us for that.
That's good. Thank you, Brandy, for doing
Thanks.
this.
Thanks for having us,
Thank
Brandy.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Abhishek. You guys are wonderful. I really appreciate your openness today.
Of course.
Thank you.
Take
Have a
care.
good day, guys. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.